Okay, well, if you're ready, I'm gonna do like a really big, a big classic. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm on speaker mode, so that should get us noise nicely recorded. Are you ready, Mr. Scudder?
I am, unless you want me to shut these curtains.
No, it looks. You know what? That house looks lovely.
It's a
I
mess. I've got cosplay crap over here everywhere.
right. Let me audience get ready. This is going to be an intro for the ages. Hello and welcome to the Nerdy Brit channel. He's spun into a chair and welcome to a podcast with the absolute star of this week's Doctor Who episode. And we are going to get straight into the chat. Now, you played, tell me if I get the number wrong, you played Trooper 9. Uh, waits for confirmation of the correct number.
Yes, that is correct.
He's done it. You played Trooper 9, and I want to start this conversation off with a very, very important question. Because off air, you were talking to me about how disappointed you were with the episode and how much you really, really hated the episode off air. So I'd just love you to like expand on your thoughts with that on camera, please.
How dare you? How dare you? I never said anything like that. I never once said anything like that. I'm Shooty's biggest fan. I love Shooty. I think he's great. I think he's had a great season so
Uh,
far.
I I don't expect you to say anything negative about the episode or the show, but having watched the episode, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts on your starring debut?
So, well, firstly, loved the episode. Really, really loved it. I think we've both said it now that I think Shooty is now starting a trend where his third episode is just a banger.
His
Every third
yeah,
episode seems to be a banger. So
so good.
Shooty's next season third episode should be great as well. But no, I actually thought it was a really good episode. And I feel like it's the first time we've seen Doctor Who not be afraid to scare the audience. Like I feel like Doctor Who has almost been scared to scare people for a long time. And not to say I was like quaking in my boots or anything, but I watched it with Lily, my partner, and she couldn't watch it. She couldn't watch it. She had to look away. She was like, is it on screen? Is it on screen? And I was like, no, 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 it's nothing there. There's nothing there.
So take me back to the start. Obviously, I think quite a few of us will know what this was like. But talk me through the process of getting it for people that don't know. Was there any audition involved? Was it just as simple as that? What was the timeline from you doing anything and getting it, and then how long was that to then you just being on set?
Okay, so this is what I know. So for Troopers 1 to I want to say 6, they all auditioned. They were actors with agents. And then any troopers onwards from 7 to 10, I think. I want to say that many. We all got it through Phoenix Casting. And what they were looking for originally was troopers with special skills who could do stunt work and stuff like that. And the only reason I got it was because I do free running. I was a free running coach because I am, and I do free running, and they were like, "Yeah, cool, that sounds brilliant." And I actually got it when I wasn't in the UK. I got it in Disney World, Florida.
The magic of Disney. What can you say? It's fate.
Uh, It was my last day. I was just coming home to the UK, and I got that call, and I knew that Doctor Who's code name was the Bridge.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I don't know, but it's a thing that
It's
all
that is
extras.
public information, yeah. Because
It is
because
public.
because I'm going to be completely honest. I am also a member of Phoenix. I don't think I saw that specific one, or maybe I did, but I forgot about it. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. Every time I saw the bridge code name, because it was really easy to work out the bridge what they were filming Doctor Who on, I was always applying. I haven't got anything to this far.
Good, good.
Maybe they know I'm the nerdy Brit. Maybe they'll refuse to cast the nerdy Brit. It would just be too ruddy distracting for audiences.
No, absolutely. I think you're too iconic. You're too famous to be in Doctor Who now at this point, James. You're sorry.
Yeah.
You
What
know,
can I say?
can't even
So
cast you as the Doctor.
you I will be the first Ginger Doctor, Paul Scudder, and you know it. Uh, um, so so you're in Disney World. How long then till like you're filming? How like did you find out like 3 months in advance, a month in advance?
So I got it like almost. I got it in November. I got it, and then the next following year we started filming in February. I came up for a
Nice.
costume fitting at the end of January,
So
where
is that
they
in Bad Wolf Studios?
Darvill Studios.
Tell
Yeah.
me what that's like. Is it going to really disappoint me? And it's just a boring set of warehouses, or is there like cool bits dotted around in that lot?
Well, it depends who you are. It depends who you are. If you're not a fan, you're probably just thinking, oh yeah, there's a set in there. There's a set in there. Okay, we've got the industry section over there. But if we go down the right, we've got the Doctor Who side of the warehouse. Like Bad Wolf split up all their shows clearly, and they keep them all together. So there were multiple episodes of Doctor Who being set up at a time. Like I've seen sets that I probably shouldn't have seen. Um, and I won't say what, but I've seen sets that I probably shouldn't have seen. And I've been on sets that I shouldn't have been on, like the TARDIS. It
I
actually
saw
got
the
shut.
picture of that. That looks cool.
It got shut down. They turned all of the TARDIS off after we went on it. They were like, get them off," because truth be told, the TARDIS is actually really flimsy.
Really?
Really flimsy. They said something along the lines of they can't have more than 6 people at a time on the TARDIS because it's just not stable.
God, just Bad Wolf Builders.
So,
Get the hammers out. Let's put some more nails in that set. Come on.
I mean, whether or not that's true, whether or not they just like, there's more of them than 6, so we can probably get them
Yeah.
off. But anyway, they turned it all off. And what was the question? What was the question?
So your experience around the
Oh,
Bad
yeah.
Wolf, and any more tidbits you can give us back because that looks like a cool apartment of stuff.
So yeah, the warehouse, incredible. If you're a Doctor Who fan or a fan of anything Bad Wolf do, I was pretty much I'd gone from Disney World to Doctor Who World. It was great. I was like in a theme park the whole time. And I was seeing them demolish sets from episodes they'd already done as well. Like the room that we were set to be in, I think was or I can't say. I can't say there was a set that was being demolished from a previous episode. I don't know which. Oh, actually, I think it was the Christmas episode. I think it was the Christmas
Oh,
episode.
okay.
I saw the desk and the check-in area to
Nice.
where that was, and that was being demolished because they were building something else in that space.
Of
But
course.
no, really, really cool. Warehouse was awesome. Shooty Gatwa's face on the wall. The robot from the Don't Kill Me, Doctor Who
It
film.
was I saw it on your Instagram. Is it the Wild Blue Yonder robot?
Wild Blue Yonder, the
Yeah,
slow egg moving robot. Yeah.
that
He,
was
he was
cool.
he's just in the reading room where they read the scripts through. So like, all I can imagine is Shooty and all that sat around a table and you've got Mr. Egg over there chilling.
So you've done your costume fitting. Then what happens next? Were you at the read through, or were you not needed at the read through?
So they let us in. They let us in for a little bit of it. Yeah, they actually did. They Amanda, who I'm assuming was the director. Amanda was a wonderful woman, by the way, a wonderful lady. Because we were
Yes,
extras
Amanda was
again.
another person you were slagging off before the call, so I'm not sure why you're
Yeah,
backtracking
yeah,
now.
right. But great person. Basically, they showed us a animated version of how the scene would go down. Before they'd even cast anyone. And Shooty had blonde hair in this animation because they thought he would still have blonde hair from Barbie or something like that, I think. So
Wow,
we almost
okay.
got I think we almost got a blonde doctor. That was quite funny.
That's fun.
From Shooty. But no, they did a little read through with us of a certain part of the scene. This I think it was I can't remember now, but I think it might have been the bit where people go start flying.
Yes.
Um in the clock face, and that was really
I
cool.
I have
They
so many
they
questions about that. We'll get there. We'll get there.
they were gonna kick us out, but then they were like, "No, do you know what? Do you guys want to stay? Do you guys want to stay and just listen?" And we were like, "Yeah, absolutely. I would love to stay and listen." So, all the actors came in and they just talked around. I never got to see Russell, but I got to see everybody else. And I say I never got to see Russell. I passed his office and he was in there. Obviously, I was not going to knock, and I was not going to be
Imagine.
that. Yeah,
Oh, Mr. T.
at the
Davies, I
window.
love you.
Yeah, exactly. Marvelous. I wasn't going to do that. That was my mission. My mission was to just not, for the first few bit of me being there, I was like, don't say you're a fan. Don't say you're a fan. Don't say you like the show. Do not show any remote interest in the show. Until when I got to about halfway through, um, I was like, they can't get rid of me now. They can't get rid of me
Yeah.
now. So I'm a huge fan. And the makeup artist was like, "You're not, are you?" She was like, "Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone." Um, and yeah, but yeah, I think that's probably how I'll answer that question because I'm sure you've got more.
So I'm because obviously the big thing, like the big reason why this episode will go down in history is not only because it, fantastic episode, but because obviously, why are you watching this if you haven't seen it? Full spoilers, obviously, duh. It's a midnight sequel. At what point, obviously, if you've been in read-throughs, you've got to have known it. Like, because obviously you hear things about them trying to like keep as many secrets as possible from actors. But I know you told me that you had access to a full script. So at what point did you know it was a midnight sequel?
As soon as I read it, like it's not so obviously when you see it, if you haven't got it by a certain point, you see a David Tennant flashback, and then
Mm.
if you don't know at that point, you didn't watch the episode. But I got the whole script emailed to me. It might have been by accident, but I take it as a blessing.
More
Uh,
for them.
I read the whole thing. The only bit it didn't include were the bits with the just the Doctor and Belinda. I got everything involving troops, which is pretty much the whole episode. So I got all
Mm.
that. I read through it, and I was like, "Damn, this is good. This is good." And I just couldn't put it down. Like I think before we even started filming, I already knew in my head that this was going to be a good episode. I actually do. Like, and I've seen actors say that before, and then then when they film it, they said they're not so proud of it. But I've always thought, no, that's not true. There's no way you know it's good until you film it, until it's out. But when I read that script, I was like, whoa, this is Doctor Who. This is Doctor Who. I really like where we're going with this. And yeah, I think I got the scene where the Doctor was sort of figuring it out. That was it. No, I tell you where I got it from. I got it right early on because in the script, it lays it out. It lays it out to you. They say from a top-down point of the view in the script, there is a circle with Alice in the middle. It creates a clock face. Troopers such and such, such and such, such and such are at 6, 7, 8, and 9 o'clock. Nobody is stood at 12 o'clock yet. And I was like, interesting. And then the more it went on and kept talking about positions and where troopers were, I was thinking, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Why does that sound familiar? Why does that sound familiar? So I kept reading and kept reading. And just as the Doctor was told, I got it as soon as the Doctor said it used to be a planet of diamonds. I was like,
Yeah.
straight there. I got it there. I didn't need to hear that the name of it was Midnight. I just needed the stage directions of it being a clock face, and my cogs were turning. I was there like, interesting. It couldn't be, could it? There's no way. And then from that point, I was sold. And like I've been struggling so long to not say a word. Other than that, it's been the fear of Disney coming after me. But
Yeah.
I have been struggling very much to keep it under wraps because yeah. Oh my God. I've wanted to talk about this to someone for so long because obviously David Tennant fan and just seeing that it was a midnight sequel and in my head I was like, this is insane. This is
Mm.
insane. How have I, a David Tennant Doctor Who fan, managed to get a Doctor Who job and been on the one that's related to my favorite era? I I don't you can't make this up. You can't make this
Midnight's one
up.
of my not that I don't know how you feel, but I know for me, Midnight is one of it is an all timer. Is in the best series, aka Series 4, and is
Absolutely.
probably one of the best episodes in series four and just of all time in Doctor Who. It's
Uh,
so iconic and so good.
Absolutely. And I think one of the reasons it's iconic, and I think you've already said it, there goes my ring light.
Oh, jump scare. Oh.
The midnight entity is after me for spoiling secrets. I'll just hold it here, shall I?
Honestly, if it's uncomfortable, ditch it. We can see your face beautifully.
No, it's all right. I'll put it back up. But what I was about to say was, I think you've said this before, and it's other people have analyzed this with horror films all the time, and it's like in a horror film, it's the scariest until you see the monster.
Mm.
And that's one of the reasons I think you said it is why Midnight is so terrifying. You can't tangibly say anything about the Midnight entity. You can't. And I by the way, I saw there was a puppet for this episode, and you don't you and I think you would have seen it clearly at one point, but I think they scrapped it. Having watched the episode, I think they scrapped it because there was definitely a point where you would have seen it earlier. Because
Oh wow,
I remember Monster Man Paul being on set. He's showing us all
Monster
the
Mouthful.
puppet. Um, and I was like, damn, it just looks like this burnt version of ET. And and it was scary. It was unnerving. But I'm actually glad that they decided, not because the puppet was bad. No, the puppet was scary. I'm actually glad they chose not to show it as much as I
100%.
thought they were going to, because I think not seeing it made it way scarier, and that's why I'm just glad they stuck to that, and that's my opinion. I'm not
I'm
saying
glad to get
anything.
your take on that because I know that's been one of the because obviously Doctor Who Twitter throws out its bits and that's been one of the slight negatives people have thrown at the story is how much you still do see little bits of the monster, you see little silhouettes. My problem with this, and this is going on a bit of a tangent. Some the people showing like screenshots and things like any old twat can take a screenshot of the exact right moment and go, so that's what the monster looks like then.
I
And
saw that in your video.
I'm more than happy to get your take on this, even though because I think we've touched on it slightly. There are some absolute cretinous fans out there taking their screenshots and going, "Oh, now we know what the monster looks like." If you watch the episode, you don't get a second to focus on it. So what? So
Yeah,
you I'm sorry, Doctor Who isn't a series of pictures. You've got to judge the picture as it's moving. You can't just judge the still picture. I'd love to hear your take on that.
no, I completely agree with you. I think yeah, sometimes people read too much into stuff, I guess. And I agree with you. Having watched it casually, I know you're right. There's a point where you could pause it and you could see it clearly and go, oh, well, that's what it looks like. And there are people who will do it the right way, and there are people that do it the wrong way. I think there are people who will do it and they'll go, oh my God, that's crazy. Oh my God, I can't believe I got to see it. And they went back and they scoured that footage for the exact moment where they got to see it and they were hyped about doing it. And then there's the people that do it just to be like, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they did this. Just to complain about it. And, and on one hand, I get it. And on the other hand, I don't get it because if we're all fans at the end of the day, you know, let's just be happy it happened. Let's be happy it happened, excited that it was there. And just in the same way, I suppose, at the end of the day, it's down to your interpretation of the show. If you choose to have seen it, you chose to see it. If you didn't choose to see it, you didn't choose to see it. Like I didn't see it, and I'm not going to go back and see it because I'm quite happy for it being this intangible entity of destruction, I guess.
Exactly. You're not a virgin. You understand these things. I want to ask you, and again, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. In terms of filming locations, I've half heard this, and I want to see if I can get this confirmed. Did you film at the same site that Jodie's regeneration is caused? Because I heard a rumor that quarry in your first opening bit once you're down at the planet is
Yeah.
apparently the same Welsh quarry that Jodie Whittaker got shot in. the Power of the Doctor causing air reject, and obviously a lot of stuff happened in that quarry in Power of the Doctor, and I'm curious to
Yeah.
see if you know that about that.
I don't know. I don't know at all. But thanks to Doctor Who Unleashed, obviously we know there's a few more episodes, quite a bit of David Tennant actually, that was filmed there as well. And no, yeah, I just think they just used different locations of it, if I'm honest with you. There were lighting rigs everywhere, like huge lighting rigs, and something that might not be shown in the episode is it was chucking it down in that
Really?
quarry. It was horrible. It was horrid. It was I think we started from 8 p.m. and went to maybe 3 a.m. in the morning. And it was like, and that day when we on those days when we were filming there, it was like a red warning for a storm.
Wow, really?
It was abysmal. It was abysmal. I was in a wetsuit and biker gear. Um, and you know that as much as you'd like to hope they'd protect me from the elements, they didn't. Uh, and then no one else was. But you know, we're all in the same boat, and that's why I've said it on my Instagram post, and I'll say it here too. The costume department on Doctor Who are the loveliest people in the world, and I would thank them now. So thank you. I would thank them in person. I would love to meet them again. I'd love to give them a hug. I'd love to just give them a present in any sort of format because no matter what happened, every time they shouted cut, they'd come over to us with the thickest coats, like a crate of hand warmers. Like it was so cold that they were like, right, before we put the wetsuit on you, let's get the tape out. And then I was like I was in the wetsuit, strapped from head to toe with duct tape and hand warmers underneath the suit. I was like,
You
yeah,
were swole.
yeah. I was like built on just hand warmers strapped all over me. And I imagine a few other people were too. It was great.
So you filmed in, as far as I can tell, in that quarry, obviously quite a few studio sets once you get closer to the well bit. Are there any other cool places you ended up
Yes,
filming?
we because of COVID, a few. This is what I was told. A few places like Steelworks, for example, were closed down, and they hadn't reopened yet after COVID. So that's one of the locations we were at. And honestly, that's in my opinion, although Doctor Who's famous for being, in quarries, I really found the Steelwork location really cool. Really,
So
really
what, so
cool.
what scenes were in that steelwork location?
Flipping hell. So we had what's it called? When we were walking up to the airlock door, when you see us outside from a side-on angle walking in, that's one. When we're running away, and I had my camp run, as you would call it.
I was going. Okay, we've got there. Like honestly, look, I don't, please understand this is, audience at home. This is banter between friends who've known each other a very long time. But my God, are you a member of the LGBTQ plus community? Because your run was zesty as fuck.
No, I didn't even know I
That
was
was
running.
so, I love it. I love it. It was just,
I didn't know I was running like that either until I watched
it
it. I was
was the
like,
sternness of the face, and then the,
I know, I saw I was like, am I doing high knees? What's this? For
you
no
know what?
reason.
God loves a trier. He loves a trier. And my God, every take, I bet you were. I'm proud of you for that run alone.
I will, it's weird to say, right? But the most fun I had on Doctor Who was just doing the running scenes. Like on all that comes to mind is Jenny. Like
Yeah.
love the running. Because we did a lot of filming and running. Like I think even maybe one of the running scenes didn't make it to the show. And it might have been because it was a little bit janky. It might have been because it was janky. I'm not sure. We were running through the corridors where the dead bodies were. We did that quite a few times from loads of different angles. Um, yeah, I don't know why. I just really enjoyed doing these running scenes, despite having all these cool moments in the circle and whatnot. And that was sick, by the way. People
Mm.
getting like harnesses on and the wires on and the glass being smashed. Yeah, it was really cool. But for some reason, the child in me was like, I'm running with the doctor. I'm running. I've got to the point in life where I can do a running scene with the doctor, and this be the coolest thing ever. Take me to school and I'm running. It's boring. Take me to
Mm.
Doctor Who and I'm running. Suddenly,
That's
the ball
cool.
game's been changed, and it's incredible. Running's the best thing I've ever done. I don't know why.
100%. You've brought it up, so I've got to take us there. Certainly the most iconic scene for the troopers is the big all guns blazing the deaths at midnight. So
Yes.
this is a two-part question. So I'll feel free to ask for a reminder if I phrase this really badly or you get confused. At what point did you was it decided that you were going to be one of the ones who survived and all that shindiggle? And then I want to know about the circle. Like, do you wish you were one of the people that died? Are you happy? Are you happy with what you did? And what was it like watching that being filmed? And how's that all put together? Those are all my questions.
Okay, so selfishly, I'm very glad that I survived. I'm very happy that I survived, but selfishly very happy because there's that glimmer. Obviously, it's probably never going to happen. I'll be honest, but there's that glimmer of hope that maybe one day Trooper 9 comes back traumatized and meets the Doctor again. Who knows, right? That would be awesome.
I will be asking you about that. I have pictures for you and Russell.
No, that
I
would
will
be
be pitching
awesome.
that.
I would love to pitch that. My no, 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 that's sidetracking. I'm not going to do that. But no, the clock face circle. I think originally there was more shots of that. I think there were less in the show. I think there were more shots of the top down look, so you could visualize this clock face and troopers moving around it from different time slots. And that chopped and changed maybe once or twice who was where and where people were stood, and it wasn't like set in stone whether you would live or die. I think somebody, yeah, one of the troopers who was with me, they were set to die originally, and someone else was set to live originally. But because of the alteration of how the action in the scene played out, they then were in a spot where they were going to die. I, but somehow Trooper 9 never dies. Trooper 9, no matter in what alteration of the script, I just somehow kept being alive. Everybody else was kept getting changed from dead to alive, dead to alive, dead to alive. It was in and out, in and out. But me, I just kept going, apparently. And there was a cool bit that was cut, I think. And it's when there's a guy called Luke Rodri. He's the guy who makes a run for the door. The trooper that makes a run for the door. He's lovely as well, by the way. Luke Rodri,
Nice.
fantastic guy. Gave me
Shout
some.
out.
I will shout him out because people who are lovely and kind and caring absolutely deserve that. And he was a great guy. And he gave me some advice on acting and stuff like that. Just a nice guy in general. Originally, what happens is a body gets thrown, and my character panics like mad, sort of backs up, falls into Luke's character, and that's the reason they run for the door.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and that never happened. They just got scared and ran for the door, which made me really sad because the camera was like pretty much maybe where like here where my arm is, and this is my face, and it was me getting scared and jumping into uh good old Luke Rodri and making him scared, and he's sodding off. So I
so
get
they
some of the
filmed
feeling.
it,
They filmed it, yeah.
but they just didn't
Um,
make it the final cut.
no, I think maybe I was too camp, but
Look, there is plenty of homoerotic roles waiting for you, Paul.
maybe yeah, maybe I was just a bit too over the top. I don't know.
What was
But I
that?
didn't
Because
make it.
so in terms of like, obviously, sometimes on film sets they maybe like take you away if you're not needed for that shot or something. Did you see the stunt work that went into the? So what? How was it all like harnesses and weirdness? Were there stunt doubles on set?
Yeah, I met every stunt double under the sun. Like, I don't know why. I mean, when we were having dinner, I had the bravery to approach this guy who looked exactly like Shooty and be like, "You're right, mate. Nice to see you." And he went, "Yeah, you're right, mate." I was like, "You Shooty stunt double?" You went, "Yeah, I'm Paul." And I'm like, "Damn, there's so many bloody Pauls here." You know? No, Shooty stunt double, also lovely bloke. Do you know what? Everyone was lovely. It's exactly what you expect. Everyone
Of
there was
course.
just gems, absolute gems. Stunt doubles, great people. They talked about their jobs, what they'd done. A few of them had been on Deadpool and Wolverine prior. One of the women who was there was wearing a Deadpool and Wolverine bomber jacket, like varsity jacket. Coolest thing you've ever seen. And only people who did that got it. And I think she might have even got a role in Deadpool and Wolverine as maybe one of the Deadpools. I don't know.
Cool.
Um, she said something along those lines. And that was really cool. But yeah, we did see how it worked. They did it a bunch of times. They got to play around with the bungee as well, because when people were dying, what would happen is they'd get launched up, they'd stay in the air for a little bit. So they'd just do this. They'd go from like here to go and just bounce for a while before they were then let down. And then eventually it became a fluent movement. They were like, "Ew, ew," all the time. And it just kept going on like that. And it was really cool. Not everyone had stunt doubles, though. Some people did the stunts themselves, and that was cool too. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, I'm just trying to think now about yeah, just really the stunts were just they're very well done, very well executed, very professional. I can remember the guy in charge of the stunt team being the most charismatic guy you could possibly think of. London accent, talk like that all the time. He's like, we gotta do this proper now. We want to do this right now, proper. He's just a cool guy. Yeah.
Amazing. Do you have because I can ask you questions until the kings come home, but do you have like are there like stories or highlights that you feel like could be interesting for people? What were your highlights of the experience?
The bits that I've been the most passionate about, and I've actually been dying to just get it on public record because I want it to be out there. I want it to be spread around that this person is just beyond kind, that they're just really, really kind. They're really, really nice. And yeah, and there's nothing that could happen that will probably change my opinion of that. And that's
Thanks, I
Shooty.
am kind. Oh shoot, he's talking about shooting.
You
Okay,
too, you
cool.
too, you too, obviously, because I went to uni with you and you're a stunner.
But shooting outward, the man, the myth, legend.
And I will tell you why. I will tell you why. Because so I've never had this experience as an extra on any set ever. And that's when we got there. They first day of set, first day of filming, they said, "Okay, can we line up all the actors, all the extras, please? Just get them all in line. Shooty is going to come out in a little bit. It's his idea. He wants to come out, shake your hand, give you a hug, say hi to you, and just get past all this starstruck stuff right off the bat." And he comes out with the biggest amount of energy a man could ever come out with, right? And he does. He shakes everybody's hands. He gives everybody hugs. Hello, what's your name? How are you? Are you having a good time? Are you okay? Oh, you look a bit cold. Do you need my coat? And just really, really lovely guy. And when he goes through and learns everybody's names, at the end he addresses us all and he goes, "Sorry, guys, I'm probably not going to remember any of your names, but I will certainly try." And you know what? Despite saying that, throughout this month and a half long process that we were with Shooty, um, he did. He remembered every single person's name, every single person, and he made it his mission. If he didn't speak to you yesterday, he'll speak to you today. If he didn't speak to you last week, he'll speak to you this week. He spoke to a different person every single week with the same amount of charisma every time. Like we were on set all the time, and his charisma with V is exceptional. It was exceptional. Um, they were kept getting told to be quiet. They were making everybody laugh all the time, right? It just kept happening like that. And I guess that's exactly what you want to hear about what was going on set. But if you thought that paints a really nice image of him already, well, here's something else. My costume fitting day, right? So I don't know what what extra set food is like, right? It's
Yeah, iffy
it,
some point.
yeah, it can either it's the best thing in the world or it's like, oh, this was definitely reheated back up a few days ago. No, but basically something that Shooty does out of his own paycheck, out of his own back pocket, is they said it wasn't even monthly, it was like every other week, Shooty would pay for a food truck to come in, a high quality food truck to come in, or an ice cream van on random days out of his own money, and he would pay for every single person's food or whatever they got from the van for free. He would do it. He'd just do it. And the fact that it even included extras was baffling to me. And then they go and tell me, oh, yeah, Shooty does this all the time. He does it all the time. And I was like, you're
What,
joking.
man?
I said, you're joking, right? This is unheard of. And he went, no, no, Shooty is just that nice. And I was there like, that's incredible. That's incredible to me. They did. I got Caribbean food that day for free, thanks to Shooty Gatwa. And I was like, that's incredible. That really is. There were other moments on set where Shooty is an open book of a person. What you see is what you get. Loveliness, loveliness. But he was so open. There are now episodes that have been revealed and named and titled and stuff that he was talking to me about. And I was like, Shooty, I shouldn't know this. I should not be allowed to know this. And
What kind of things was he? What kind of episodes were you talking about? Was there like a big twist or something that you knew about ahead of time?
there was just stuff he was going on about that I shouldn't know about. Like the Eurovision episode hadn't even been announced yet, and I knew it was coming. I'd
Nice.
seen I'd seen the set of it, and it looked incredible. It looked incredible. And other memorable moments, like I said, I said about the costume ladies in the costume department. Um, they were the highlight of my day. Honestly, those costume ladies. Whenever I came in the morning and left in the evening, they were always there, and they were there to have a conversation with me and do their job and make sure that I was okay. And they'd be like, "What did you watch at the weekend? Did you watch anything nice? Oh, we watched Madam Web with my children. What did you think of it? You know?" And then they also just had philosophical chats with me about cinema, which is honestly, it's because of them that I was speaking to you before this, what I've rethought my whole outlook on how I digest series and cinema. Like at one point I was very negative before this, and you can probably see that in one of your previous videos. And I'd hold my hand up full-heartedly and just say, I'm sorry for that to the fans of Doctor Who in general, and anyone who my negativity might have annoyed. Because, she said, people don't get it, even though something that could be considered bad, rated badly, and people go, "Oh, this film or this series was awful." She said, we spend a part of our lives, almost a year of our lives doing these things, maybe more. Uh, trying to do our best, coming in early, helping you guys out, being kind to you guys out, and then when the product comes out, we get hated, we get death threats for all of this time that we spent to give you this content, whether it was the peak of its performance or not the peak of its performance, or just different in people's opinions. It hurts. She said it hurts. And I'm like, I'm such a horrible human being for not even thinking about, stuff like that. No, because it's true, it's true.
So it's a very interesting perspective, 100%.
Yeah,
And I think it's tough because obviously I can't remember his name, but there is a guy online who gets a bit memed for it. But it's always like before he does a negative review, it's always like first things first. You've got to remember the crew worked hard,
yeah,
the cast worked hard, and we say those things in jest, but I agree they are genuinely
yeah.
true, and like this isn't to us, it's entertainment. For other people, it's their
It's
livelihoods, and it's
consumering. It's consumerism, isn't it? But like I said,
100%.
I'll stop there because I'm sort of preaching to an audience that maybe don't want to be preached to. And
They're the
I'm
nerdy
sorry.
Brit. They're watching this channel. They'll listen to any old shit.
Well, I'm sorry for preaching to you guys anyway, because I'm sure you guys are all lovely human beings anyway. Um, but yeah, that was it really. Just those moments with Shooty, just learning how lovely of it. Because somebody brought up to me what they had heard, what they had heard online about Shooty, when I was doing a different extras job, and I wasn't having it. I wasn't having it, and I'm like I said, I'm not, I'd be ignorant to the fact I wouldn't say me and Shooty are best friends. Obviously if Shooty considers us friends, then we're friends. But I was there doing a job, so was he. He was just a lovely guy. But I like to be honest. I like to be truthful. And so when that person was saying all that, I was like, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to join this conversation. I'm going to have to say now that is not true. I've met this guy in person. I've worked with him for however long. That might not be enough time to get to know someone actually, but it, what I was shown and what I was seeing, it just felt open book, honesty,
Mm,
lovely human being, and I've got way more respect for him as an actor because of it, because of being there,
mm.
And you could turn around and you could say, "Oh yeah, but that's because you were part of the episode. Of course, you would be biased towards it now because you're part of it." But I'm like, I know obviously no, it's people's choice if they want to believe me or not. But that's how I feel. That's how I feel, and my opinion of that will never change now. Shooty has a fan for life out of it, and a friend if he wants one.
Is one of those things where people, people have their little opinions and all that about actors, but like to a certain extent, from your perspective, there isn't much more he can do. You're only going to see him. You're doing a job with him, so you're only going to see him in the
Mm.
work perspective. So the only thing you can judge him on is how he interacts with you during the times that he interacts with you. And
Yeah,
his interactions with you seem wholeheartedly positive. So of course it's bollocks to this bias. Yeah,
yeah.
of course you're biased, but in a completely reasonable way. But that doesn't stop the cold hard truth that for the
Mm.
time you spent with a man, the only time you can judge him, he was a proper stand-up gent.
Absolutely. The last things I'll say, because again, I think it's worth just sending it out there into the world of the internet, and it's that every single trooper who was there were lovely people. Every single one of them, great people. If you know them personally, or you've hunted them down from the credits, like some people already have to me, um,
You're going to be
then
going to
yeah,
Comic Cons, and I genuinely reckon you could probably sell like pictures for £10 at Comic Cons.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Just because I go to Comic Cons and stuff like that. If someone wants to have a picture of me, they have a picture of me. I don't care. I wouldn't charge you. I'm a fan too. Let's just enjoy what we've got.
I will be getting your autograph after this, by the way.
But yeah, I think that's what I want to say. That all the troopers are lovely people. If you've hunted them down and followed them, just show them some respect because they're great people. But also, Amanda, who I don't know if she was the director. I don't actually know, so that might be bad. But I'm assuming she was the director. She lovely woman, absolutely lovely woman who I had a chat with here and there. And so sometimes on sets, people might not know this, so I might as well say it, is when you're an extra, it really depends on the environment. But to 9 times out of 10, everyone is lovely. Everybody is lovely. But
I've been on a couple of dodgy sets, yeah.
every now and then, extras can be treated like dirt, which is sort of why I sort of pinnacle this interaction with Shooty because you get to set, and normally if there's celebrities on set that everybody knows, the first thing I was told, or it's the unspoken rule, is you cannot speak to the actors at any point, otherwise you may be kicked off. Do not distract the actors from their work. They're here to do a job. Don't fanboy or fangirl or fan person over this person at all. And I understand that. I understand that a lot. But whether you liked it or not, Shooty was going to talk to you, and you were going to have a good time. So yeah, that's why I pinnacle it at the highest because I truly believe that any form of rules thrown out the window. There was no elitism. There was no separation. Everyone on that set was an equal. Oh, actually, no, I will not be saying that. I will not say that because I don't think I can. I'll say it to you privately. So, I won't say that.
Cool, no worries.
Mm,
I so taking out this is something you will be biased in because here's where I'm asking you the question. I'm going to ask you two questions as a fan. One of which, if you can take out your personal biases, try to. Which is better, the Midnight or the Well? I'm going to put you on the spot there, and whether you were to be, obviously you'd want to be in it. Do you, as a fan, think there should be a completion to the Midnight Well trilogy? But first of all, which is better, the Midnight or the Well? You can give me a one-word answer. You can explain your
um,
entire nerdy thoughts.
so I don't want to answer too fast, but I already knew my answer. It was midnight already. It was midnight already because it started it in the first place. Without midnight, there is no well.
Yeah.
It's simple. Without midnight, there is no well. Also, I just think midnight was such a. It followed those. For people who don't know, there's some Greek rules out there of performance where it's like same plot, place, same place, same action, same day, or something like that. And that episode follows all those rules. It stays in this one room for the majority of the episode, and those are actually considered barriers. And this is the actor in me coming out. Those are considered barriers. It really didn't need a lot. Midnight did not need anything to be as good as it was. You think about all the other Doctor Who episodes that had so much CGI, that had this world-ending threat. No, Doctor, a few random people, hostess, and a glorified hover taxi, that they're all trapped in. And that's it, you know? In the well, we moved around loads. We were we were going all over the place, literally flying through the air and dying. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's why Midnight is superior. And to answer your question about should there be a trilogy, I would have said no if the Midnight entity had died. Had that been the end of it, I would have said, yeah, let's just not touch that again. But because of the way it ended,
Was that ending in the script? Did you know that before airing?
so don't quote me on this because this could be completely wrong, and you can include this in the video. But the actress who was in that last scene, Bethany Antonia, who again, lovely person, she didn't know. She didn't know from what I gathered. That I think it was just they get away and that was it. And then I think I remember her saying, "Oh, I read this last bit." She said, "I thought I got away. I thought I lived. I thought I was safe." And then she got this scene, and she was like, "I'm assuming I die." Uh,
It
and
doesn't
I
look good for her character, I
and
won't
I
lie.
I remember her being like, obviously she is Doctor Who fan too. I remember her being happy, but also like sad that she thought she got away, but she didn't. So whether or not that scene was added last minute, I don't know, because none of us knew about it until about halfway through, and then I heard that from her directly. Um, and yeah, so
I,
who knows? Maybe it was added at the end, maybe it wasn't.
hmm. I know I've said this in my review. I think you would more than happily get away with not touching it again. It's just quite a nice, fun ending for the brings back the horror stuff at the end. I think the reason why it could work is because you kind of done all you can do with the midnight entity in an enclosed space. That's
Yeah,
been what the last two episodes have done. They would have to stick the landings. Obviously, just like if the well was bad, it reflects badly on Midnight. If a third was
absolutely.
bad, it would reflect badly on the previous two. I do think the idea of the Midnight entity in a more open space, and obviously, as we know, the Midnight entity is a
Is
bit of a
evolving.
dickhead. It seems to have the power, if it wanted
Mm.
to, just to fuck everyone up. But like,
But it
it
doesn't. It
just
plays
it plays
games.
with its food, which is fantastic. But I'd love to see that character in like an open space. I think the metaphor I used in my review is like Jurassic World. Before we've just
Yeah,
seen a couple of people mess about with some dinosaurs. Now dinosaurs are attacking the public, and it's cool.
I
Um,
yeah, I'd like to see what happens with the entity next. Like, if it is really evolving, what's the next step for it? Like, clearly it's been trying to get off that planet since midnight, and the Doctor's foiled it twice. Clearly, it has some sort of psychic ability as well because it knows the Doctor's name. It can take information away from people and use it. So, what's the next step for it? Is the next step for it to replicate people and, because it knows everything about them, it can just be them like the flesh or something like that? Is it always going to be invisible? Is it going to take form? Can it retake over human bodies? Because, like, we still don't know if it was the same entity. Like, I mean, like, yes, it's difficult because I don't know if it's the same entity from Midnight into the well. I'm assuming it is, but
mm,
the way it worked in Midnight and the way it worked in the well were different. Obviously, the one in the well could physically take over people, which was terrifying in itself, the way it did it, the slow learning process, that gradual build. And then in this one, it was just a tormentor. It knew full well what it was doing, and it was a tormenting. So what's the next step for it? What's its evolutionary next step? Who knows?
Well, right. I'm gonna ask the question one more time to give you the floor, as this is your episode. Is there any other bits of information you want to tell us, or is that a wrap, folks?
Hmm.
Any
Interesting.
more tidbits you can maybe give us? Any stories, any shout outs, whatever you fancy doing with your years of fame.
Ha! Yeah, years of fame. The military training was really cool. I suppose that's it, really. We did breach and clear. We did quite a lot with this guy called I really can't remember his name, but he's such a nice guy. I'm pretty sure it's Romando, and he
Cool.
was he was great. Ex special forces, I'm pretty sure. And he sat with us and did this like crash course of breach and clear and how we should move, what way we should move, formations, because apparently a lot of people care about how us the soldiers present ourselves, because people sit there and pick it apart. So they're like, no, we need to get this right, we need to do this correctly. Like there are bits in that I'm like, damn, yeah, that's what Romando taught us. That's what Romando taught us. Like it might seem pretty simple and basic, but the shot where you see soldiers in the background and someone talking to Alice, you'll notice as the camera's panning round and so's the person, you'll notice the soldiers in the background do that. So avoiding friendly fire and stuff like that. Just those little things that Romando taught us. But we were taught things that we never used as well. Like I said, breaching, clearing, entering a room, doing this crisscross, strategy. That was interesting.
Brilliant stuff. I'm going to end this with a question that I want your one word answer on. And this could be an emotional end to this podcast.
Oh,
Do you think Trooper 9 is dead in the Doctor Who universe?
so, one word answer. No.
Sorry, Paul, I think he's dead as fuck. He's so dead.
Why? Why? Why do you think he's dead?
Nah, that base is that everyone in that base is dying. I'm sorry, Paul. You
No, because no, because if Alice gets away, so does Trooper 9 and
did
7.
Alice get away? I don't know.
She has
I
to. She has to. When the Doctor saves someone, he saves them most of the time.
look. I hope for your
I'm on the
return to the
escape ship with
universe.
Alice. Can't touch me, entity.
But have you seen the cool thing where there's a theory going around there might be multiple entities because what you so and you are one of the bodies in this theory, which is mental. So you know the scene with the lift and you, Alice, and another trooper are in the lift and you go up and there's a thing on the lift that says 6 persons max and there's 4 bodies highlighted, which implies that the entity went up with you guys. I don't know if you've seen this theory, but I just want to put it to you, Paul, that you might be dead in the Hooniverse. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, I haven't seen that theory. That's no. But wait,
And don't say I don't back your corner, by the way, because I was fighting with Russell on this. He did like
you
my
had
Instagram comment when I told him not to kill you off. I think he might
you
have killed you off anyway.
you had me in stitches over that. I did find that very, very funny. But that then begs the question in my mind. I know you want to end this video, so I'm sorry. But that begs the question in my mind. If he went up with us and is down there,
Is
were
there
there
multiple
two?
entities?
Yeah,
That
were there
that that's
two?
that's the theory going round that as part of the lift thing, is there multiple entities, or was there ever an entity? I can't remember her name. Did the captain sacrifice herself for nothing, or is there multiple entities?
That would be interesting if now it's a vendetta against the Doctor or something. Like maybe the entity had a lover or a loving other entity, and we killed one, but the other one survived. Now it's like You killed my best friend. I'm going to kill everyone.
And that would be a good revenge. If I killed someone and then they decided to kill that Paul Skudder, I would cry. That would be the biggest revenge anyone could take against me is your
Ah,
murder.
I don't know. I think Trooper Nine's quite smart. I think I
Chibnall's
think
quite smart and quite camp.
I think he's quite camp and quite smart. I think he made it out. I think he was all right. You know, when the doctor told him to do stuff, he did stuff because he's a smart cookie. You know, was he the first one to leave the base after crap went south and protect Alice? Yes, he did because he's a smart cookie and he listened to the doctor. Um, when he saw that entity on the ship, did he stay? No, he got the fuck out.
Fuck Mom. I am going to give you one final task if you're ready to accept it. I would like you to do my outro for me. Whatever you'd like. Promote anything you'd like to, but make sure you dramatically tell them all to, subscribe and get me lots of likes, subscribes, and comments and on in this video. Thank you very much.
Hello there, nerdy Britbrewers. You're all beautiful and incredible today. And you know what that means? It means that you should all subscribe, follow, and watch more Nerdy Brit content because it is incredible and you love it. And we're all here for it. See you next time.
And the Sonics came out! See ya, suckers.
See ya.